This episode of the CCS After Hours podcast is brought to you by The Fleshlight. The Fleshlight, for all those times when you're sick and tired of the CCS podcast hosts jerking you around.
Oh my fucking god, you guys. I don't know how to say this, but I've just seen the most amazing bit of footage featuring my absolute favorite comic book character, the fucking merc with the mouth himself, Deadpool. You dogs, you gotta see this. This was just absolutely fucking amazing. I just can't fight the right.
You sound like a Let's Player. Oh my god, guys! I'm playing the Deadpool video game and it's sweet!
Give me a bro fist if you like this video. But no, seriously, folks.
Deadpool!
Yeah. Please don't press the stop button just yet, because we can assure you that we're not gonna do this whole, oh my god, we've just seen this trailer and let's review it for 5 minutes, despite the fact that you can actually go and watch the trailer yourself and form your own opinions.
We're gonna review it for 45 fucking minutes. Joking.
Obviously, we are gonna talk about the latest bit of test footage featuring one of our favorite comic book characters, Deadpool. But instead, like I said, instead of just, well, basically spurging about it for 40 minutes, we're actually gonna try and analyze what this bit of footage actually represents, where it came from, why, in our personal opinion, it has the potential to be the most faithful adaptation of the famous Merc with the Mouth, and whether or not it has a prayer getting released theatrically, or if 20th Century Fox, the film studio that currently owns X-Men and all of its related iconography, is just gonna put a kibosh on this thing because, well, essentially Deadpool has a potty mouth.
Yeah, he's inappropriate for, the PG-13 rating. There goes millions!
Yeah, you gotta get those asses into those seats.
Because, not to jump ahead of ourselves, though, but we do want to point out the fact that this is the first time a lot of people have heard about this, Deadpool footage, which apparently has been around for 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, if certain sources are to be believed, this test footage was actually made back in either 2012 or 2011, 3 years ago.
So there's that little controversy and possibilities of why Fox hasn't shown it to anybody yet, and why they're trying to squash this video from going viral.
Yes.
Or too viral.
Mm-hmm. Or just why this footage that apparently had been lying, collecting dust on someone's desk for 2 years, or rather 3 years, was suddenly released at the tail end of all the ComicCon craze, right after Marvel presented what they had with the Avengers and DC presented what they had with the Superman and Batman movie, and as we all know, Fox had nothing to present in regards to either X-Men or the Fantastic Four, and all of a sudden, here comes Deadpool.
Yep. Missing footage that hasn't been seen by anybody in years, and only a select few. So, shall we get going?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about our nutty conspiracy theories first, or maybe address the fact why we think that this bit of footage was brilliant?
Let's get naughty later. Well, we're gonna do exactly what all these fucking Marvel movie trailers are doing, and we're gonna tease you. Just like Dirty Laundry, and what was the other one?
The Dead Can't Be Distracted, or...
Exactly. We're just gonna, we're gonna tease you. We're gonna make you want it. We're gonna make you burn for it. We're gonna make you ache.
Yeah, we're gonna leave an Easter egg, during the end credits of this video to set up the next video, and then we're gonna try and create, a massive continuity of videos. And then there's gonna be a massive crossover.
We're seriously gonna get to all this shit. Anyways, so Max, what was your opinion of the Deadpool missing, hidden, secret trailer thing?
Well, needless to say, I was impressed by this bit of footage, and I would like to go into detail now, because when we addressed Deadpool before, and that was in our Ultimate Deadpool, The Quest for the Ideal Merc with the Mouth video podcast, there was some contention from some of the viewers who challenged our interpretation, if you will, of Deadpool, claiming that we saw Deadpool as this kind of, superficial jester who just drops pop culture references, whereas they truly understood Deadpool, and according to them, these connoisseurs of the mark with the mouth, the version of the character that made an appearance in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon was the true version of Deadpool.
I'm sorry, I'm just chuckling to myself. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I just...
Crank to 11, huh?
Yeah, precisely. I mean, obviously, all of this is subjective because, we have our opinion and those people have their opinion, but...
Right, and we don't want to make it sound like your guys' opinions are wrong. We just don't happen to agree with them, and hey, it works both ways, so...
Yeah, but I mean, freaking Ultimate Spider-Man, where he wasn't able to actually kill people or drop F-bombs, and...
I get to unalive them!
Yeah, how can you declare that is the true version of Deadpool? But regardless, I'd like to use this opportunity to actually explain how you can get Deadpool right. And actually, I don't really have to, because all we need to do is just look at this bit of test footage, if it's still available, if it hasn't been pulled down for the 6th or 7th time.
Thankfully, it's gone viral enough where people are just reposting it on YouTube. It's really easy to find, as long as you can get past all the people who are reviewing it.
Yeah, making reaction videos that are actually twice as long as the actual video itself.
I know, these assholes who are making these reaction videos and these analytical videos about something that hardly anyone gives a shit about, these fuckers should be put down.
Hashtag hypocrisy.
Exactly.
But anyways, the reason I found this bit of test footage brilliant is because, unlike the Deadpool video game, despite Deadpool breaking the fourth wall a couple of times, or making various pop culture references, it's actually, compared to the Deadpool video game, it's pretty fucking subdued.
Yeah, compared to the video game, being the one who bought it and played it, and bought it for $60 fucking. Ugh. I could have bought a shit ton of other stuff on Steam for that, but...
Or, speaking of our sponsors, a flashlight.
Many more hours of gratification. A bit more, even a bit more challenging.
And a good exercise for your wrist.
It's less repetitious. Oh, this is gonna be a fun one. Thank God for alcohol, man. Anyways, so the Deadpool video game was just a constant barrage of breaking the fourth wall jokes. And granted, the Deadpool video trailer that we saw, it was only like a couple minutes long, whereas the game's several hours.
Right.
But it was a hell of a lot less intrusive. I mean, the video game constantly reminding you, you're playing a video game, hey, the director of the video game did this, hey, the director of the video game did this. Whereas the movie clip seemed a lot more like a narration, and I believe you compared it to Scorsese.
Yes, it was kind of like a Scorsese film, because it's kind of like that bit at the end of Goodfellas, where after, Ray Liotta rats out his buddies, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, he, addresses the audience, because the entire film was essentially a narration by him. So it doesn't necessarily break the fourth wall as much as, it's kind of like a narrator who just wraps up his own tale. Because obviously, when in real life, when you're trying to tell a story, sometimes you make a mistake, sometimes you jump ahead of yourself and you gotta make corrections.
Wolf of Wall Street's a great example of that.
Yeah. So in Deadpool's case, there was a bit of that, hey, watch this, and then he jumps into the car and obviously, dispatches all the bad guys. But it wasn't as intrusive, because in the Deadpool video game, there are certain moments when Deadpool flat out calls the video game developers or takes control of the game. So, the point of the Deadpool video game is that you and Deadpool should be one. You should be controlling Deadpool, but you're never really in control of him. Because he doesn't listen to the director of the game, but he also doesn't listen to you. So all you're meant to do is just sit there and watch Deadpool act like a Looney Tunes character.
Right.
Whereas here, despite the fact that it's a film, it's not interactive. It's more subdued, so you're still enjoying the narrative. And Deadpool doesn't disrupt said narrative. In fact, because he breaks the fourth wall every now and again, it actually kind of enhances it in that Martin Scorsese way.
Right, like I counted 3, and there could be more, I may have miscounted, 3 instances where he breaks the fourth wall. First is which is when he kind of, just talks to the camera right in the beginning, so you kind of get a feel for who the Deadpool character is. Second one is where he turns to the screen and says, "Trevor, I'm pregnant." Which, honestly, it's funny, but I honestly don't get the joke. I'm sorry, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
As I suggested, it could just be a jab at Brazilian soap operas or something.
Good possibility. And at the end, he makes a wave and says, "Hi, Rob," which I'm guessing is Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, probably yes.
That's my guess.
And I think it's important to bring up the fact that this isn't a trailer. This was just test footage. So they had to create something that in 2 minutes or less encapsulates what Deadpool is. So perhaps if they actually turn this into a feature-length film, we're gonna have even less breaking of the fourth wall, less pop culture references. Like, it's gonna be either more subdued or more streamlined in that, once again, Martin Scorsese way.
I'm hoping. I mean, obviously, it's just a teaser, demo, test footage. And it's all done in CG, obviously. It has that very Final Fantasy Advent Children look.
Right.
And the action is also just about as insane.
Yeah, as you'd expect.
In quite not a good way. The scene where, like, the car is flipping about 1,000 times down the highway and the guy is in front of it on a motorcycle. He gets off his motorcycle, just stops in the middle of the fucking road while his car's coming at him to shoot at the car. And it's like, drive faster, fuckhead!
Well, again, not that I'm trying to defend them, but it's a bit of test footage, so they had to represent how awesome the action in this movie could be. Because if they are gonna go with an R rating, the way they could adapt this scene in a more morbid, in a more like a black humor type of way, is that the car does flip like 50 times, but it also crashes into the wall, and then Deadpool has every single bone in his body broken, and he has to like reassemble himself. Because I don't think they ever addressed the fact that he has like a healing factor in this video.
Right, they just make him look like he's almost had like God mode on or something.
Right, so if obviously they make this film, they will have to somehow incorporate the healing factor into it, because you could have plenty of I myself am not a huge fan of slapstick comedy, but just because Deadpool is able to survive all sorts of injuries, you could write decent jokes with that.
Right, like he could survive the piano falling on his head or any of the other Wile E. Coyote type shit, but obviously his body will be like in a fucking cast and shit, but
right,
bones broken and neck backwards and arm somewhere off in the distance.
Yeah, precisely. It's like
he's basically, I really don't want to use this term though, but he's kind of like an adult Looney Tune. Which, like I said, I don't want to use it because Looney Tune has more of a wacky.
But you see, it's all about juxtaposition, because there's a way to do it tastefully, kind of like they did in that Wolverine versus Hulk movie, when Deadpool fights against Wolverine and Wolverine cuts Deadpool's arm off, and obviously it's a serious battle and Wolverine's all riled up, whereas Deadpool's like, "Oh man, could you give me a hand?" Oh, never mind, that joke didn't work, and then he runs and picks up the hand.
He's trying to assemble it on his arm, and he's like, "Shit, this isn't right."
Exactly. So
I mean, I fucking love that scene. I'm sorry.
Right, like we mentioned in our Deadpool video podcast, it's all about juxtaposition, because you can have balls to the wall, completely insane character like Deadpool,
being in a completely insane universe. I mean, it's
kind of like the video game where you spend 4 or 5 hours with him, and it's the same kind of jokes, it's the same kind of over the top action, and the reason why this test footage works is because you have
there's a little bit of grounding.
Yeah, there's a little bit of grounding, because you have obviously all these bad guys in the Jeep, and it honestly looks like something out of like a Luc Besson film, And all of a sudden, here comes, this CGI Ninja Spider-Man, and starts, making relevant, I highlight this, relevant pop culture references, and dispatching all of them in a comedic yet visually cathartic fashion. And, that's what it should be. Right,
and unlike even the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, which featured a Deadpool cameo, there was no, quick cuts to like, a bunch of monkeys dressed like Deadpool. It wasn't. I guess maybe the Looney Tunes thing kind of carries through by the fact that, the duck season, rabbit season thing. He gets shot and he spits out a bunch of like, fucking buckshot or whatever. Whereas the Ultimate Deadpool cartoon was just over the top zany, like to the point of like ADHD. Yeah, I hate to say it, but Looney Tunes is way more grounded than fucking Ultimate Spider-Man. That's bad.
Yeah, it's all about juxtaposition. I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man himself, the character, he's not really all that serious. He himself breaks the fourth wall constantly. So what's the point of having Deadpool do essentially the same thing if, at the end, he's just gonna look like a cheap knockoff?
So yeah, the juxtaposition is, like you said, is key. And you gotta have a wacky character like Deadpool. He has to be anchored almost like a, I guess the comparison I want to make is like, I was reading like how to write fantasy novels and that kind of shit. And they say that, if you have a villain or a superhero that's too powerful, there's no interest.
Obviously.
There still has to be rules in the world. You have to constrain the power of the villain and the hero, and they have to fit within that world. Like, Superman's world, Superman can fly, and, Superman's a horrible fucking example because he can do everything.
Yeah, precisely.
Whereas, like, Spider-Man's a better example. Batman is a fucking excellent example because they have limits, and they're written within these limits. Spider-Man, he has the powers of Spider, and, Batman has the power of money. The best power of all. Just ask Iron Man. But like I said, there has to be rules. It has to be they have to adhere to these rules. Otherwise, it just goes fucking off the rails. And if you have a quirky, zany, insane world, and you try to insert someone who's even quirkier, zanier, and more insane than the world itself, then you've got a clusterfuck.
Yeah, there's no conflict, there are no stakes, there's no tension.
Right, because, if Deadpool got hit in the head with a safe or something like that, and the safe opens up and he walks out, then he's basically God. Or a god, sorry.
Yeah, but if he gets knocked out because, his head was, smashed in, but he regenerates afterwards, it's the character still survives, and there might be some comedy to it.
But there's repercussions. There's realistic repercussions.
Yes.
Obviously not the regeneration, though, but, the brain splattered everywhere and all that kind of thing.
Are you tired of standing in excruciatingly long lines to buy tickets to see the latest special effects extravaganza at the movie theater?
Are you guys sick and tired of game publishers forcing DRM measures on you for the latest AAA game that you spent $60 on?
Finally, are you fed up with driving down to the bookstore to procure the latest hot teen romance novel that all the youngsters are into, only to learn that it's out of stock?
Well, guess what? There's a website that lifts all of those heavy burdens from your shoulders. It's called The Pirate Bay.
That's right, boys and girls. The Pirate Bay has an enormous selection of the latest films, books, video games, music albums, software, anything your heart desires, as well as huge discounts up to 100% all year round.
And the best part is you don't even have to leave your house to procure these goods. So just go to thepiratebay.org, run a quick search, ignore all those pornographic ads that are DPing the search results, and, depending on your internet speed, have your item within minutes. Look for other qualitative 20th Century Fox titles on the Pirate Bay.
So, obviously, the two of us, we've seen this bit of test footage. We absolutely loved it. But I think the question that's on everyone's mind right now is, what's going to happen next? Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, this was a professional
production.
Professional production that was put together by Blur Studios, ostensibly back in either 2011 or 2012.
Yep.
And more importantly, it actually starred Ryan Reynolds, who for the longest time wanted to, essentially redeem himself after X-Men Origins Wolverine, after the way they butchered the character there.
Yeah, and obviously that's not Ryan Reynolds' fault. Green Lantern is, but... So yeah, we according to what we can tell, the age of this film is a couple years old.
Yes.
Because it does it coincides with something that Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld said 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he's quoted as saying, "They've got a great director on the movie, they've got a great script. I may or may not have seen some sort of test footage that would blow your mind if you saw it." And go, holy crap, that's Deadpool in costume. Katana swords, guns, shooting people's faces off, and making me laugh. Everything that fucking Wolverine didn't have. Well, except for the katanas in the beginning, sorry. And yeah, okay, the beginning. The last half sucked ass.
Yes.
And I may or may not have seen something that looks just like that. And you've got what would amount to the first R-rated X-Men movie, because the script is R-rated. Big fucking red flag.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that kind of has me worried. Currently, Fox is pulling this leaked video down left and right on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
doing damage control?
Yes, basically doing damage control, hoping that maybe they can suppress this thing before it gets too fucking out of control, because I really think that Fox doesn't want this seen by anybody else. I mean, can you... we tried looking for any evidence online, besides this Rob Liefeld statement, that coincides any other news outlet seeing this footage. Mm-hmm. We could not find anything dated from like 2000, prior to the release of the leaked release of the footage. So, Kotaku, IGN, other Hollywood websites, we looked everywhere for this evidence that they're, reporting on this Deadpool footage, which has me suspicious that this was basically shown to a couple of investors.
Right. And
no one else. And like Penn Jillette says in one of his most recent Penn Sunday School podcasts, when he's talking about his Kickstarter, and Zach Braff, he says that basically in the movie industry, it comes down to like 4 or 5 fucking bankers who decide whether or not a movie goes forward. They don't give a fuck about how many people like the characters, how many people want to see an R-rated movie based on that character, or anything like that. So all they care about is the fucking bottom line.
Yeah.
So if they're given a fucking R-rated X-Men movie script starring a character who they might personally think is annoying, and that's their opinion, they can shoot this fucking thing down and it'll never see the fucking light of day.
Yeah, they can just...
Which has me fucking incensed.
Yeah, they can just take that script and wipe their asses with it.
Yep. And then lock it back in the fucking vault. And then right before Disney gets a chance to get the rights back, they'll release something, PG-13, watered down, something marketable.
Yeah, it's basically going to be a live-action version of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon.
Or maybe they'll create like a cartoon series for... Oh, I guess they don't have Fox Kids anymore, do they? Damn.
No, they don't. But of course, this could be one of those... We're going to reach out a hand to Marvel, and together we're going to make Deadpool and His Amazing Friends, the TV series. It's going to be an educational show where Deadpool will teach children how to read and write.
Reading Rainbow starring Deadpool. I can unalive anything.
Oh boy, yes. But I mean, just the timing of this video it has me suspicious, because according to certain sources, this test footage had existed since something like 2011 or 2012. Again, various reports vary. But it was released, or rather, it was leaked right at the tail end of all this, San Diego Comic-Con 2014 hype, right after Marvel had their Avengers Age of Ultron presentation, and DC had their Batman vs. Superman presentation. And then there's Fox, who had absolutely nothing, as far as superheroes go, to present this year, because people were expecting that maybe they'd drop a couple of words about their upcoming Fantastic Four reboot, but no, there was nothing. And then, all of a sudden, right after both Marvel and DC made their announcements, bam, here comes this Deadpool trailer. Well, not a trailer, but a leaked test footage. Yeah, that apparently no one had seen previously, save for Rob Liefeld. And even then, he's being very wishy-washy about whether or not he, had or had not seen it, and we're not sure if this is even the test footage that he was shown.
Right.
What's interesting is that when this video was originally uploaded, it was called Deadpool ComicCon 2014 test footage, and the description read something like, oh my god, here's some test footage for either a movie or a new video game. But here's the thing, this wasn't shown at Comic-Con. So it's, where did the guy who originally uploaded this video get this thing from? This kind of stuff doesn't appear out of thin air. And then that video got taken down, and all of a sudden, according to Wikipedia at least, Blur Studios, who were the ones who produced this video to begin with, they uploaded this bit of footage to their official website. But if we were to follow the link right now, we wouldn't be able to find the video on their site anymore. Yeah, obviously, as you said, some people have already downloaded and made mirrors of this thing, as they should.
Right. I downloaded it immediately.
But yeah, it's just, I'm really curious about the source of this video.
Well, the source is pretty obvious. If Blur Studios was basically the only people who had access to this video, and they've put the video on their fucking website, then obviously they may have had a hand in it. One thing I noticed is that this is very cell phone quality video.
Yes.
So perhaps somebody did sneak it, and perhaps they got sick and tired of the fact that nobody's making a Deadpool movie, so they're like, you know what, fuck it, if it doesn't happen in 2 years, I'm going to release the shit. But by the fact that Blur Studios posted the video on their own website, that might be the case. Now, here's the thing. I absolutely fucking love the fact that the internet is total anarchy.
Yes.
And here's the thing I have to specify. Anarchy is not chaos. It's simply a lack of leaders. Read fucking V for Vendetta.
That's your home assignment for today, kids.
Yeah. Treat it like your Bible. Anyways, so anarchy is not the lack of order, it's simply the lack of leaders, i.e. leaders being people like a couple bankers or a couple of movie execs who decide what you get to watch.
Yes.
Whereas the minute you put it on the internet, as the guy who made the Dead Can't Be Distracted Punisher fan film should have done originally, and like Kevin Tancharoen did, hey, I actually said the fucking name right, Tancharoen did, with his Mortal Kombat Rebirth film, or a short teaser trailer. It was released on the internet. It's going viral right now, and as of right now, Fox is trying to squash it.
Yes.
So obviously they don't want to make this fucking movie. It must have been rejected to have been shown 2 years ago, and no one's heard a peep of it since. Until now.
Or it could be stuck in development hell, and they're currently discussing how to tone down the violence and make it PG-13 and child safe and whatever.
Kind of like Del Toro is getting with his Mountains of Madness thing, or at least did previously. You know, we got to have Tom Cruise star in the Lovecraft movie. It's got to have a romantic subplot. It can't be too violent.
Yeah, or the same way that Edgar Wright got fucked over by Marvel because his vision of Ant-Man didn't really coincide with the trademarked PG-13, family-friendly Marvel Cinematic Universe look. Or tone, apparently. That was the biggest issue.
Shit.
Yeah.
See, it's this type of corporate bureaucracy where your fucking leaders, the people who get to decide what you get to watch again, are the ones who are fucking regulating all this shit. They're the ones keeping you away from decent films, from basically the shit that you want to watch, according to YouTube, i.e. hashtag Dirty Laundry.
Yes.
The Punisher film.
Not to mention, as we brought up in our The Dead Can't Be Distracted Punisher After Hours, it's really hypocritical how they just kind of pick and choose which fan projects or which short movies or whatever they choose to support, i.e. Dirty Laundry, and which ones they don't want to see the light of day, i.e. The Dead Can't Be Distracted. I mean, if you go to YouTube, there's myriads of fan films, or like those Bet in the Sun, like Wolverine versus Batman Death Battle videos, right?
Right. I think College Humor made one about Deadpool versus Batman, which is high production. It could be confused as an official Marvel movie or DC.
And more importantly, it's monetized.
Yeah.
And in that case, fair use is, well, no pun intended, a fair excuse. Yeah, but in this case, well, it might confuse the audiences, and it's too good looking for a fan film, so fuck you, Mike Pesci.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the vibe that I have off of this Deadpool release, is the fact that somebody, Tim Miller was the director and is a co-founder of Blur Studios, is suggested that this is their work, and that obviously Ryan Reynolds did the voice for Deadpool.
And motion capture.
Exactly, and so they must have made this trailer to show to Marvel.
Or Fox.
A couple people have seen it. Marvel. Fox, because they have the Deadpool rights. And it's just been squashed ever since. So this is my guess is, Fox officially said, we're not going to make the Deadpool movie. We're not going to make it like this. And so they're like, you know what? We're sick and tired of, we must have gotten the red light, and we're just going to release it just because we're proud of our work. But if that was the case, they would have released the HD version of the video and not the cell phone camera one.
Yeah, well, you know what? He could be trying to, and of course, we're not asserting that it was indeed Tim Miller, so please don't sue us. But having seen what happened to something like The Dead Can't Be Distracted, he could be trying to cover his tracks by saying, well, obviously, if it was me, I would have released the HD version of the video. But as you can see, it was filmed on a crappy iPhone or something, so I don't know, someone must have...
Yeah, because you can just tell by the black borders that keep shifting around. There's a lot of movement on the film itself.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it looks like a typical cam rip that you can get on the Pirate Bay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in this case, well, obviously someone must have snuck into my office and, got hold of the footage, and, it's not me.
Or we were screening it to some, higher ups or somebody. Like, apparently they were screening it to Rob Liefeld, and somebody present must have, recorded it. So it's not us.
Right, which is almost something you have to do these days, because if The Dead Can't Be Distracted is an indicator, they could press charges against you these days.
Right, and I imagine that Tim Miller and Blur Studios have non-disclosure acts up the ass.
Right.
So, if they release this, then Fox could sue the shit out of them. Same thing with, I guess, maybe even Rob Liefeld. He kind of made allusions to the fact that there's a Deadpool test footage film, but he never gave any specifics or anything like that, and not too many people probably follow Rob Liefeld anyway. Sorry, I'm just joking, but kind of. Anyways, so I really think that if this is a leak, obviously, why is it happening 2-3 years after the fact? Around ComicCon, and why was it posted on the Blur Studios website?
And again, as usual, we have absolutely no evidence to back our nutty...
our accusations.
Yeah, our nutty conspiracy theories. But I do believe, or I suspect, that this could be, again, kind of like in Kevin Troyan's case, this could be like a last-ditch effort by Tim Miller to get this thing produced, because obviously, like you said, he
or someone at Blur Studios,
We're not, again, once again, we're not asserting that it is the man himself, because obviously, as you've explained, they made this test footage, and at the end, it was only like 4 or 5 investors or producers or whatever who saw it in a dark room, and no one else did. So essentially, they just threw their money away. Because here's the thing. We haven't heard anything about a solo Deadpool film for a while now.
Right.
Which is really obnoxious, because now that X-Men Days of Future Past has managed to successfully relaunch the X-Men film franchise, meaning that X-Men Origins Wolverine, that travesty is no longer part of X-Men canon, now would be an ideal time to make a solo Deadpool film.
Exactly. I mean, to me, it really smacks that this is the best time and place to make a Deadpool movie, and the fact that, the best way to get around all of this, we'll sue your ass if you release this, is to make it look like you didn't release it.
Yeah, all of this red tape.
Yeah. We didn't do this. Somebody must have filmed it during a screening, and, it wasn't us. It wasn't even, posted by, Blur Studios. So.
But of course, the problem is, and this is potentially the reason why they're trying to cover their tracks and put a damper in this entire thing. From the looks of it, it seems like Tim Miller and co. were going for an R-rated version of Deadpool. And as far as superheroes go these days, I think the days of like Punisher and Ghost Rider,
Blade,
they're over, folks.
Yeah.
Because obviously Marvel, they're going for that sanitized PG-13 family-friendly film look, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it works perfectly well for something like Iron Man, because you don't need gore.
And even Dark Knight.
Or yes, even something like The Dark Knight, because it's the age-old rule of less is more. Because, I mean, you don't really need to see a close-up shot of the Joker stabbing that one henchman in the eye with the pencil.
Exactly, and the same thing with, my father was a drinker and a fiend, that thing.
Yeah, we don't need to see flashback scenes.
Or see Gamble, like, a.k.a. Michael J. White, get his throat slashed open or anything. We don't need to see any of that. But it's still an intense scene, and I wouldn't show that movie to anyone who's too young, I don't believe. But Deadpool, on the other hand, is not a fucking hero, really. He's a mercenary. He's an assassin. He kills people violently, as shown by the trailer, where he has like the guy's head on a stick and he's making like puppet noises. He kills people violently and jokes about it, and people laugh about it, and it's just absolutely the blackest of comedy. This is not something you can take a kid to.
Right. And as I think B-Mask has pointed out on numerous occasions, that's part of the brilliance of the Marvel Universe. Because unlike DC, it's not all black and white, it's all shades of gray. So you have more wholesome heroes, so to speak. Like, yeah, you have mainstream heroes like the Avengers who deal with like aliens,
Captain America.
Yeah. But you also have the darker side. You have characters like
Punisher, Blade,
Daredevil, who deal with either street crime or supernatural shit or just psychological Batman-esque type of villains.
Yep.
And it's really alarming that Marvel isn't doing anything with those characters.
Exactly.
And before anyone leaves a comment, oh, but what about the Netflix series? Yeah, but they're only adapting Daredevil, Luke Cage, the Iron Fister, I think.
With the pretty shoes.
Yeah, it's gonna be PewDiePie the superhero, basically. And one other character, Jessica, I think Jessica Drake or Jessica Drew, I forget her name, sorry, I'm not a huge comic book geek. And even then, all of it is gonna culminate in an Avengers-esque crossover series called The Defenders. So while we might get a glimpse of the street-level crime with the Daredevil series, that's pretty much it. We're still not gonna see Ghost Rider or Blade or the Punisher. Let's not forget about the Punisher.
Absolutely. They're gonna be characters who go against either criminals and just like, subdue them, beat them up, and leave them for the police, or they're gonna go after like, fantasy characters like aliens and shit like that. You won't see a movie like Blade again, where a comic book hero shoots human-like characters in the chest and with like a stake or something. So, they're really trying to tone down, they're really trying to curb this entire violent angle, which is disturbing.
Yeah. And it's really, it's baffling because...
It's not baffling, just like a fucking Mickey Mouse, I mean...
Listen, let's not kid ourselves. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal is essentially the almighty dollar.
Right.
And what I'm trying to say is that, if I'm not mistaken, the first two Blade films, they were financially successful.
In fact, yeah, they were very successful, except the third one fucked up the entire series.
We don't talk about that film.
Whether or not Ryan Reynolds is in it. We don't talk about that one.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I think like in this day and age, people do, like, there is a market for a flawed anti-hero.
But it's not part of the Disney image.
You know what? The Disney image can go fuck itself, okay?
That's my opinion, too. I mean, what they can do is they can take characters like Thor and Captain America and Spider-Man, or they don't have Spider-Man yet, though, but they can do it if they want.
Yes.
And have, these characters walking around Disneyland with big bubble fucking heads, Whereas you can't have the same type of character like the Punisher carrying around a plastic gun in a fucking theme park. It won't happen, man. It just won't happen.
Yeah.
If kids can't fucking carry around like those little bubble guns that have like the pink outside and all they do is shoot bubbles, if they can't take those to school, there's no way in fucking hell you're gonna see Punisher with a plastic gun in fucking Disneyland.
Yeah, with a Nerf gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. And it's really alarming because to be fair, we have nothing against the characters like, Captain America or Iron Man or the Hulk, etc., the Avengers, also being marketed to kids because, that's the appeal of these characters, that both the young and old can enjoy them.
Right, exactly. Iron Man's a perfect example, how they have like pictures of Robert Downey Jr. surrounded by a bunch of kids wearing Iron Man costumes.
Yeah.
My fucking second cousin does nothing but wears an Iron Man t-shirt all the fucking time. So, big Iron Man, it's a selling point. And again, Disney is a fucking business, and they know who to market to. And if they get caught making, obviously this is Fox who has the rights right now, but if the rights go back to Disney because Fox doesn't do shit, then they're never going to release a Deadpool movie, because you won't see kids dressing up as Deadpool during Halloween saying, "I'm going to kill you, motherfucker."
No. I'm going to unalive you.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, you're never gonna see. They can't market Deadpool. They can't market the Punisher, a guy who shoots criminals dead. They can't market fucking Ghost Rider, a guy who's been to hell. They can't market Blade, a guy who kills humanoid-looking people with a fucking stake gun.
Vampire himself. Yes. Yeah. It's just disheartening, really, because, you know, like I said, the brilliance of the Marvel Universe is because they have all these shades
so many
of gray.
Shades.
Yeah.
Yes. More than 50.
Oh, yeah, and don't remind me about that movie. The only way you can see it is only if you have like a commentary track by Gilbert Gottfried.
I honestly can't wait till they laugh tracks fucking rips it apart.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only way to make Twilight bearable.
Yes, but I mean, it's really alarming, and I'm afraid that this is going to be another one of those discussions, kind of like the Punisher After Hours, that ends in a whimper because there's really nothing we can do. Because, you know, superheroes are all the rave these days. And while...
The family-friendly ones, though.
Yeah. And while in the past, you know, comic book movies were a bit niche, and as a result, the directors were able to get away with a bit more risque material, so to speak, again, you know, Blade.
I know. Disney gets rights back, right?
Okay.
And Disney releases an R-rated Deadpool movie. And a bunch of these, like, you know, soccer moms are running out going, "How dare you!" I mean, it's just like Gremlins back in the fucking 80s or 90s.
Yeah.
"How dare you show this to my children? You know, Disney's supposed to be a wholesome family company. I mean, just look at all the teen dramas that they have on the Disney Channel where 14-year-old girls shake their asses." Hannah Montana!
Yeah. My little Timmy asked me to show him, you know, this latest Ninja Spider-Man movie, and he drops the F-bomb and kills people.
He cuts off a guy's head and holds it up like a fucking puppet.
Yeah, this isn't Frozen.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that, you know, parents could actually do some research on the character and realize that, no, this isn't Ninja Spider-Man, despite the fact that, you know, Chris Hastings likes to call him that.
See, the Hollywood's working itself into a fucking corner. Everything's got to be PG-13, so that's all parents see. They don't take any of the context into account. They don't do any of their own fucking research. They see PG-13 because it's a big draw, and it's going to be fucking as violent as possible without, you know, it's going to be walking that line. And parents are going to be up in a fucking uproar about Disney releasing a comic book hero that kills people in fucking ultra-violent ways, shoots them in the face. I mean, have you ever seen any of the fucking comics where Deadpool and Wolverine get into major fights? I mean, it's fucking nuts. I mean, blood everywhere.
Well, that's the mystifying thing, because obviously they released these movies to market, you know, to make these characters more accessible to people. Mm-hmm. But I think they're also hoping to introduce more people to the comics. So, say people go and watch, you know, Avengers 2 or whatever, and they get interested in the Marvel Universe, but if they pick up the comics, there's far more darker shit going on there, even in, like, Spider-Man stories.
Right. Batman's the best example of that. I mean, you know, the movies are kind of tame compared to a lot of the comics, like Zaz. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That example that you told Will during the DC Arrow After Hours is fucking brilliant. Supergirl sees Zaz murdering people in a fucking mountain of fucking corpses, and this is in comic books. And she's
petrified.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she's petrified. She can't do anything. I mean, yeah, if you want an example of just the difference between the kind of world that Superman, Wonder Woman, and the rest of those costume freaks have to deal with, and the kind of shit that Batman has to deal with, you know, just go and pick up that copy of that Superman Batman comic.
Right. The only in that respect, the only way I can see Deadpool ever becoming a marketable character is if he doesn't kill people. If he's like Batman, he'll beat him up, he'll joke about it, he'll have fun, he'll be wacky.
Yeah.
But he won't kill him. He'll take him to the cops.
Or if Fox first introduces him in a future X-Men film where he's initially the villain, and that's why he's allowed to kill people off screen, obviously, without any blood or gore. But at the end, the X-Men are able to somehow talk him into becoming hero, and he sees the error of his ways, and all of a sudden he becomes an not really a hero.
The anti-hero.
Yeah, the anti-hero.
I almost thought you said the anti-hero. I'm like, what?
The anti-hero. That would be right up Deadpool's alley, you know.
So the short leaked test footage is the type of Deadpool that we want to see, but you know that we're never going to get it, and that's why Fox is trying to suppress it. I don't know why, because they have the rights to it at the moment. They got to do something with it, otherwise they're going to lose the rights. And if they lose the rights back to Disney/Marvel, we'll never see Deadpool up on the big screen, at least in this way, in this shape or form.
No. Superhero movies are, like I said, superhero movies are all the rave these days,
Right.
and they're trying to make them as mainstream and as sanitized as possible, which is not a bad thing in some cases, because I have nothing against children taking a liking to like Iron Man or Captain America, because obviously when we were kids we also liked characters like Batman, Spider-Man, etc.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was a kid when I started watching Batman the Animated Series. It was what got me into Batman. It was a little bit tamer, which is fine because Batman is a hero.
Yes.
And there was no like Victor Zsasz or any of that kind of thing. But I don't have a problem with adapting characters to be for children though. But when you make a movie that's supposed to stay true to a character,
Yes,
based in the comic book, you can't have like the cartoony safe Deadpool. It just does not work.
Yeah, because if you're gonna make an adaptation, it could be a bit tamer, it could be a bit more PG-13, but the spirit of the original source material has to be there, the same way it was in the Bruce Timm and Paul Dini Batman the Animated Series. It wasn't obviously the Christopher Nolan movies, but there was still plenty of dark shit out there.
Yeah, it was actually one of the darkest children's cartoons that you could actually watch at the time.
Yeah, not to mention the Batman Mask of the Phantasm film.
Oh yeah, which is fucking excellent. I just got done watching that not long ago. But my guess is that Blur Studios, possibly, this is all conjecture, released this as a last hurrah, a last-ditch effort to try to save a possible project that they'd be working on. Because maybe the rights are going to expire pretty soon. They're like, well, shit, we gotta get this test footage out there. Hopefully it'll leak. Hopefully it'll go viral. Hopefully the heads of the studios and the investors will say, okay, we're getting a shit ton of fan response, positive fan response. We should invest in this.
Hopefully the heads get their heads out of their asses.
Not likely. Not likely. In the meantime, what they should try doing is making a Dr. McNinja movie.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
I mean, seriously, that would be pretty cool. A CGI Dr. McNinja movie. Or it could be even animated. I don't know which one costs more, but live action, who gives a shit? I just don't know how you're going to be able to have Dr. McNinja riding a raptor in real life, without all the fucking animatronics, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, if that movie flies, then what excuse do the executives have not to make a Deadpool film?
Disney Image.
Oh, God.
Eventually, Disney will get it back. I just picture it. They're going to let Deadpool go. It's not profitable.
Oh, boy.
Fan mail. All right, folks, as promised, we are actually going to read off some Q&A questions at the end of the podcast.
Yay.
And I think this is going to be a usual thing from here on out. So make sure you guys stay tuned at the end of every single After Hours podcast, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can.
Mm-hmm.
The first question comes from Paola.
Ooh.
And she asks, at least I hope it's a she, sorry if it isn't, has the avatar of Daria, the Mike Judge cartoon.
Uh-huh.
So I'm guessing it's a she. So anyways, she asks a whole lot of questions, but we're going to answer maybe one of them. Question is hey guys, I really like your videos. They're interesting and funny because you guys do a great job at them, and soon enough the fan base will increase. Anyways, I have a few questions if you don't mind me asking. Alright, first question, and I'd probably just do one just to keep everything nice and fair.
Right.
How did you all meet and decide to start a podcast?
That is a very good question, Paola. Well, first of all, thank you for the nice words that you've said about our show. And as far as your question goes, how did we meet? Well, see, like a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, all of us happened to frequent this one site called Match.com.
And we fucked up the registration so bad, or at least that's our excuse. How we managed to find other guys like ourselves.
Yes, and slowly but steadily realizing our mistakes, we
turn lemons into lemonade.
Yes, after commiserating our loneliness for a long while, we decided to actually do something productive with our lives. And we decided, hey, why not, start this website called Shisha Kid Studios. And, at the time we were doing various different projects, like, Kenny used to have game jams, I used to run an abysmal piece of shit show called Mockbuster Mockery.
I like Mockbuster Mockery, so.
Well, we do owe a little bit to Mockbuster Mockery for the current visual style of the CCS video podcast because the format kind of evolved. But it wasn't just Mockbuster Mockery because you also had the show called Dante vs. Rao.
Don't remind me.
Well, see, I do have to commend you in the same way that you commended me on Mockbuster Mockery because
I'm just thinking, thanks to fucking Match.com, now we have friends who jerk us off.
Yeah, as some of our detractors have described the show as a massive circle jerk, so that's basically what it is.
If only they knew the sad origins. But seriously though, the Match.com thing is a joke. We actually all met on the now defunct CCS forums. I started the website originally with a couple friends, and Kenny joined, and Max joined, and B-Mass joined, and it just kind of kept on going from there. So that's how we all met, in the forums.
Mm-hmm. And now all of us are here.
Yep. We decided to quit, talking on the fucking forum and actually start creating content, because the content is more important than, hey, did you guys play a video game that I played last night? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about circle jerking. Holy Christ.
Ugh. Anyways, the next question comes from Frederick, and the subject is, what do I have to do? Well, that already sparks a couple of mental images, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially after Match.com.
Anyways, his message reads, what would I have to do to be able to talk to you guys? You see, I'm Norwegian, bored, and utterly insane. Then he writes, hugs and kisses, Frederick, and, oh boy, P.S., I am illegal, smiley face.
FBI what? See, I think it goes back to the fact that on the forum, Zeems used to post a bunch of pictures of jailbait, and now we're on a list somewhere. we got all of our information on some fucking compound in the middle of fucking Utah.
Uh-huh. Well, he's, the name he used here is Frederick, so, Agent we don't do that kind of stuff, okay? we this might be an NC-17 rated show, but this is still a clean organization, alright?
Oh, we're joking, obviously, though, but, I think he also asks in another email, because he did make mention previously that he wrote 2 emails in a Twitter feed.
Okay.
So another question he asks is, what are the requirements to be on the podcast? And to that, I'd say, why would you want to be on our hack show? I mean, seriously, why not make something new? Why not make something interesting? Why not get some friends together, or whatever, and try doing something new, unique? Do something by yourself. Take a chance, like we did.
Right.
Try something, see what happens, and if it doesn't really work, then try something different, and find that sweet spot. And who knows? I mean, you might make something way better than anything that we 5 hacks can make. And and we might even be asking to be on your show one day. So definitely, we're pro creativity. Try something. Just as long as it's not a fucking let's play. Just don't do a let's play, please.
Yeah.
There's too many of those fucking things.
And like you said, it is indeed flattering that people would want to be on our show, but like you said, there's nothing really, I don't want to say there's nothing special about us, but technically, we didn't first make a name in the entertainment industry like, certain stand-up comedians or actors would do, and then start to launch a podcast, and that's how we got, our almost 10,000 subscriber count on YouTube. No, we were just, and we technically still are, a bunch of internet hacks.
Internet nobodies.
Yeah, internet nobodies who basically decided to put a lot of, blood, sweat, tears, and effort into this thing.
And money. And lots of fucking money.
Yeah, tell me about it. Anyways, and, gradually, via trial and error, we've kind of crawled our way up, and we still are, moving up the food chain of essentially internet nobodies. But, like I said, it's flattering that people want to be on our show, but I would much rather we inspire, so to speak, other people to, set an example that essentially you can actually do something original, unique, and at the very least entertaining on the internet that doesn't fall into the, one of 3 or 4 hackneyed categories of, hey, this is another review show, hey, this is a let's play show,
hey, this is a podcast. But to take a cue from the Lego Movie, which is actually one of the best movies I've ever seen with my nieces and nephews, is that, you're the special, and I'm not trying to make it sound like you're a special snowflake, because God knows where that leads. But try making something new, and who knows, make something new, try it out, see if you can get an audience for it, and then maybe we can even swap links later.
Yeah, anything's possible.
Yep, as long as you try first. So,
and you pour a lot of money into it.
Shit, and time and blood, sweat, tears, fuck girlfriends, fuck lives. It's just us and the microphone.
Yeah. Speaking of Match.com, 2 years later, we're still lonely.
All right, we're done.
Yeah.
Have a good one, guys.
See ya.